My girlfriend said, "It's just a game night with my ex." I said, "Cool." Then I hosted my own with her sister. Now me and her sister see her true self, and then I did something that if I could go back in time and stop myself from saying cool, I would. But here's the thing. When your girlfriend says, "Hey babe, I'm gonna have a little game night with some friends," and my ex will be there, most people either flip out, make demands, or spiral into an insecure mess. Me, I thought I was being the chill boyfriend, the one who doesn't cling, the one who trusts, the one who doesn't turn into the guy she complains about to her friends over wine. So I shrugged, kissed her on the cheek, and said the word that would come back to haunt me. Cool. I've been with Emma for about 2 years. She's beautiful in that effortless, "I woke up like this" way, but also has the kind of smile that makes you forget what you were mad about. She's smart, funny when she wants to be, and she has this mischievous streak that usually makes life more exciting. We live together in my apartment. Technically our apartment now, in a cozy neighborhood with too many coffee shops and a board game cafe we both love. I've always thought we had a strong relationship. Sure, there were minor arguments about laundry, my habit of leaving my PlayStation controllers everywhere, and her accidentally forgetting to tell me about plans until the last minute. But nothing major. Or so I thought. Her ex, Ben, was someone I'd heard about only in bits and pieces. We were together for about a year in college, she told me once, but it fizzled out. No big drama. She always described him as part of the friend group, nothing more. I'd seen him once at a mutual friend's BBQ, tall, wiry guy. Big laugh, too many inside jokes with Emma for my taste, but I didn't dwell on it. That was my first mistake. It was a Thursday evening. I was sitting on the couch, half watching some random YouTube video, when Emma walked in from work. She tossed her bag down and leaned on the counter. "Hey babe, you doing anything tomorrow night?" she asked casually, grabbing a glass of water. "Nope." "Why?" "Cool, so I'm gonna head over to Jamie's place, from trivia night. We're doing a little game night, just Cards Against Humanity, maybe code names. Ben's gonna be there too." She said it like she was telling me the weather forecast. I blinked. "Ben as in your ex-Ben?" "Yeah, but it's not like that. We're all still friends, but remember, it's just a group hanging out." My brain started quietly drafting all the what-if scenarios, but instead of asking the obvious, "Why do you need to hang out with your ex?" question, I took the path of least resistance. "Cool," I said, and just like that, my fate was sealed. Later that night, when Emma was in the shower, I kept thinking about it. Not just the fact that she was going to be spending an evening laughing and maybe drinking with her ex, but that she hadn't even asked if I wanted to come. I'm not a jealous guy, at least I didn't think I was. But there's a difference between being secure and being blindsided. I started remembering the little things. The time she mentioned Ben still gives the best movie recommendations. How she had never once invited me to one of these so-called friend group hangouts when he was there. That smirk she got when his name came up, like she was in on a joke I wasn't. By the time she came out of the bathroom, my head was a carousel of questions I didn't want to ask. The next day, while she was at work, I talked to someone who would change everything. Sophie, Emma's younger sister. Now, Sophie and I have always gotten along. She's 25, 2 years younger than Emma, with the same eyes and the same sarcastic wit, but she's more real, less polished. We've had plenty of family dinners where we ended up side-eyeing each other when someone said something ridiculous. I trusted her, so I sent her a text. Me: "Hey, random question, what are you doing tomorrow night?" Sophie: "Nothing." "Why?" Me: "Want to come over for a game night?" Sophie: Isn't that kind of your and Emma's thing?" Me: "Emma's going to one with her ex. I figure I'll host my own. You in?" There was a pause before she replied. Sophie: "Wow, petty, I like it. I'm bringing wine." Friday evening rolled around. Emma left around 6:30, dressed up just enough to make me wonder if she'd done it for him. She gave me a quick kiss goodbye, told me not to stay up too late, and left. At 7 o'clock, Sophie showed up with a bottle of wine, a six-pack, and an expression that said, "I can't wait to see where this goes." I'd set the living room with snacks, my best board games, and music low in the background. At first, it was just the two of us laughing over a brutal round of Uno Flip. Then I invited a couple of my own friends from work over. Pretty soon, we had a full-on lively night going. And here's the thing, Sophie wasn't just Emma's sister that night. She was fun, like really fun. She roasted me every chance she got, crushed me in code names, and at one point, when I made a particularly dumb joke, she laughed so hard she had to put her drink down. There was nothing romantic, I want to be clear about that, but there was a spark of camaraderie I hadn't felt in a while. Around 10 o'clock, my phone buzzed. Emma: "Hey, what are you up to?" Me: "Game night here. Sophie's here too." Emma: "Sophie?" A few seconds later, she called. "Wait, why is Sophie there?" she asked, her tone shifting. "You're having a game night with your friends and your ex," I said, keeping my voice even. "I figured I'd have one here too." There was a long pause. "That's weird." "Is it?" I asked. "I mean, it's just a game night, right?" She didn't answer right away, just muttered something about talking later and hung up. Emma got home around midnight. I was still sitting with Sophie, cleaning up the table. Emma's eyes flicked between us, and there was something in her expression I couldn't quite place. Suspicion? Guilt? Both? Hey, she said, forcing a smile. Looks like you had fun. Yeah, I said, matching her fake cheerfulness. It was just a game night. Sophie gave me a look, not the you're in trouble look, but the, oh, she's hiding something look. And in that moment, I knew two things. One, Emma was definitely hiding something. Two, Sophie had just seen it too. That was the night the first cracks appeared. The night Sophie and I both started realizing there was a lot about Emma neither of us had fully seen, and I had no idea just how far it was going to go. Emma didn't say much that night after Sophie left. She brushed her teeth in silence, climbed into bed, and stared at her phone until she fell asleep. No. How was your night? No. I missed you. Just distance. The kind of distance you only notice when you've been close for a long time. I woke up before her the next morning and made coffee. She wandered into the kitchen, hair a mess, wearing my hoodie. On the outside, she looked like the same Emma I knew, but there was something tight about her smile. How late were you up? She asked. Not too late. Sophie and my friends left around midnight. Her brow furrowed. So, you and Sophie were alone for a while? Yeah, I said, sipping my coffee. We were cleaning up. Why? No reason, she said quickly, grabbing a mug. Just asking. She didn't push it, but I could tell she was thinking something. And the fact that she was thinking something bothered me, because if our situations were flipped, she wouldn't be defending anything. Later that day, Sophie texted me. Sophie. So, she was weird when she got home, huh? Me. Oh yeah, big time. Sophie. She asked me earlier this week if I was dating anyone. Totally random. Now I'm wondering if she thought I was going to say you. Me. Lol. Awkward. Sophie. Not awkward. Suspicious. I stared at that word for a while. Suspicious. Sophie wasn't the kind of person to throw around accusations lightly. Over the next week, I started noticing things I hadn't before. Emma kept her phone closer than usual. She started wearing lipstick, just for errands. When I asked how her day was, her answers were vague. Oh, you know, same old. She'd laugh at texts she wouldn't let me see. It wasn't obvious cheating behavior. No disappearing for hours, no mysterious charges on her card. But it was enough to feel off. I didn't want to be the paranoid boyfriend who starts digging through her phone. That's not me. But I also wasn't about to be the oblivious guy who gets blindsided. The following Friday, Sophie called me out of the blue. Hey, I've been thinking, she said, skipping any small talk. When she went to that game night with Ben, do you know if she actually went to Jamie's place? That's what she told me. Right, but here's the thing, I know Jamie. Jamie moved last month. Out of state. That stopped me cold. What? Yeah, she posted it all over Instagram. New apartment, new job, goodbye party. If Emma says she went to Jamie's, she's lying. My stomach did that slow sinking thing. Okay, that's bad. Sophie and I decided not to jump to conclusions. Instead, we'd watch and wait. If Emma was hiding something, she'd slip up. They always do. The next week, I casually brought up Ben in conversation. So, what's Ben been up to? I asked over dinner. She froze for half a second, just enough for me to notice. Oh, nothing much. Same job, same place. Why? Just curious, I said. She nodded quickly and changed the subject. A week later, she announced she was going to another friend night. No mention of Jamie this time, but I didn't need her to. I knew Ben would be there. And that's when Sophie made the suggestion that would set everything in motion. Why don't we have another game night here, she texted. But this time let's make it interesting. Interesting how? You'll see, she replied with a winking emoji. Emma left again, dressed a little too nice for just friends. Sophie showed up 20 minutes later with not just wine, but a small manila envelope. What's in there? I asked. Proof kit, she said. She opened it to reveal her phone on a tripod, a small voice recorder, and I kid you not, a pair of novelty sunglasses with a hidden camera. You're ridiculous, I said, laughing. I'm thorough, she corrected. If she's doing what I think she's doing, we'll know soon. We set up the phone to record part of our conversation. Nothing incriminating, just enough so later we could point out how normal our night was compared to whatever she claimed. Around 10:30, I texted Emma. Me. How's the night? Emma. Good. Playing games. Might stay over at Jamie's again, it's late. I stared at the message for a long time. Jamie. Again. That was the moment Sophie and I stopped wondering if Emma was lying. We knew the only question left was what we were going to do about it. When Emma texted that she was staying at Jamie's again, Sophie didn't even bother hiding her smirk. She's not even trying anymore, Sophie said, taking a sip of wine. Jamie's probably unpacking boxes in another state right now, and your girlfriend is wherever she is. I leaned back on the couch, staring at my phone. The word Jamie was practically glowing on the screen. She'd used the same excuse twice, even after Sophie had told me Jamie had moved. That's not just lying. That's lazy lying. Okay, I said slowly. Let's find out where she really is. I'm not proud of it, but sometimes you have to cross a line when someone keeps lying to your face. I opened Instagram and searched Ben's profile. He'd never accepted my follow request, but his posts weren't fully private. His tagged photos were open. The most recent one? A blurry group shot at some apartment I didn't recognize. And there she was. Emma. laughing with a drink in her hand, sitting right next to Ben. The timestamp? 20 minutes ago. Sophie leaned over my shoulder and saw it too. Oh, busted, she whispered. We didn't call her. We didn't text her. We didn't storm over to the apartment to catch her in the act. Why? Because confrontation in the moment gives them a way out. They cry, they spin some emotional story, they make you feel guilty for being suspicious in the first place. I didn't want a messy fight. I wanted something she couldn't talk her way out of. Sophie seemed to get it immediately. So, she said, what's your endgame? I thought for a second. I want her to reveal herself, not just to me, to everyone. I want her to show the kind of person she really is. Over the next week, I played it cool. I acted normal. If anything, I was a little nicer. Made her coffee in the mornings, offered to cook dinner, even surprised her with her favorite takeout one night. The key was to make her think nothing was wrong. That way, she'd get comfortable, reckless. Sophie, meanwhile, kept in contact like nothing had happened. She texted Emma about random stuff, a new show, a funny meme just to keep her guard down. It didn't take long. 3 days later, Emma slipped up during breakfast. She was telling me about hanging at Jamie's last weekend, and I casually asked, so, how's her new place? Did she finally get furniture? Emma froze for half a second. Yeah, sure. Cool, I said, sipping my coffee. What's the address again? I was gonna send her something as a housewarming gift. She looked at me like I'd just asked her to solve an advanced math equation. I don't remember exactly, but I can ask her. We both knew she wasn't going to. That night, Sophie called. She's lying to both of us now, she said flatly, and she's getting sloppy. Yeah, I noticed. I think she's using Ben as some kind of escape. Maybe they're hooking up, maybe not, but she's hiding something, and I think she's convinced herself she can juggle it without either of us finding out. What's your suggestion? I asked. Well, Sophie said, her voice lowering like we were plotting a heist. If she's gonna have a game night with her ex, maybe we should have a game night of our own, one she won't forget. Here's where things started feeling dangerous. Not in a physical way, but in the emotional chess match way. We decided we'd host another game night the next time she went to see Jamie. Only this time, Sophie would invite a couple of her own friends, so people Emma knew. People who might just slip something in conversation. The goal? Create a situation where Emma would have to either tell the truth or dig herself deeper. 2 nights later, Emma casually mentioned us that she'd be heading out to see friends on Friday. No specifics, no names. I just nodded. Cool, Sophie's coming over again, I said, keeping my tone light. Her eyebrow twitched just barely before she smiled. Fun. I didn't know it yet, but that Friday was going to be the night Sophie and I stopped speculating and started building the perfect trap. Friday came faster than I expected. Emma left the apartment around 6:45, casually dressed but still curated. The kind of effortless look you only achieve after spending 20 minutes in front of a mirror. She kissed me goodbye like nothing was wrong, told me not to wait up, and was gone. Sophie arrived 20 minutes later with 2 bags of chips, a bottle of tequila, and a grin that said she'd been looking forward to this all week. You ready? She asked. More than ready, I said. Sophie's friends started arriving around 7:30. First was Mia, a bubbly brunette who worked in marketing and had a smile that could disarm a cop mid-arrest. Then came Tyler, a mutual friend of Sophie and Emma from their hometown, which was key, because if anyone could accidentally let something slip, it was Tyler. We set out snacks, poured drinks, and queued up a mix of card games and party games. The vibe was warm, easy, and just a little tipsy. But under it all, I was waiting, watching. It happened an hour in. Tyler was telling a story about a camping trip they'd all taken a few years back, and in the middle of his rambling, he said, "Man, that trip was almost as fun as the lake weekend you guys did last summer, you know? When Emma brought Ben." The room went quiet for half a second. Sophie's eyes darted to mine. "Wait," I said casually. "What weekend was that?" Last August, I think. Emma invited a bunch of us to her friend's cabin. Ben came too. Thought you'd be there." I just nodded slowly. Huh. She told me she went with coworkers. Tyler's eyes widened slightly, realizing he might have stepped in it. Maybe I'm mixing it up. Maybe, I said, smiling. But inside, the gears were turning. After Tyler's slip, Sophie quietly excused herself and stepped onto the balcony with her phone. 10 minutes later, she came back and sat next to me, her expression unreadable. "I just texted Emma," she whispered. "Asked her how game night's going. She said she's at Jamie's again." I almost laughed. The sheer audacity was impressive in a pathetic way. At 9:15, Mia was scrolling Instagram when she suddenly froze. Guys, isn't this Emma?" We all leaned over. There she was. Emma in a tagged story from someone I didn't know. She was sitting on a couch, drink in hand, next to Ben. The caption, "Old crew back together, #game night." And the kicker? The location tag wasn't Jamie's city. It was a neighborhood 15 minutes from our apartment. Sophie's jaw tightened. She didn't even try to hide it this time. I'll be honest, part of me wanted to call her right then and unload everything I was feeling. The lying, the gaslighting, the way she'd made me feel weird for inviting Sophie over when she was doing this. But another part of me The part that had been quietly watching and waiting knew this wasn't the moment to blow it all up. Not yet. When the night wound down and Sophie's friends left, she and I sat in the kitchen, the hum of the fridge filling the silence. "She's gonna keep doing it," Sophie said. "She's too comfortable. She thinks she's untouchable." I nodded, which means we wait for the perfect moment. Sophie smirked. "And in the meantime, maybe we make her a little less comfortable." That was the night I stopped thinking of this as just finding out the truth. It became something else, a slow, deliberate plan to let her dig her own grave and then hand her the shovel. The thing about lying is that it's like juggling knives. Eventually, you cut yourself. Emma had been juggling for weeks, and Sophie and I had decided it was time to start tossing in sharper blades. We weren't going to confront her, not yet. The goal was to make her feel watched without realizing she was being watched. It started with casual mentions. One morning over breakfast, I said, "Hey, I ran into Tyler yesterday. Funny guy, said something about that lake trip you all took last summer sounded fun." Emma froze mid-bite. "Oh, yeah, that was years ago." Tyler said last August. She laughed nervously. "Oh, maybe he's mixing it up." I smiled, sipped my coffee, and changed the subject. The key was not to push, just to plant the thought that I knew things. Sophie was subtler. She'd text Emma with little questions that didn't seem connected, but were. Sophie, "Hey, remember when you had that cabin trip? Who was all there again?" Emma, just friends." Sophie, "Weird?" I thought I saw Ben in a pic from it. No accusations. Just enough to make Emma wonder what Sophie had seen. The next time Emma said she was going to see friends, Sophie and I staged a coincidence. We went to a bar near the neighborhood where Ben lived. Not to confront her, just to be in the area. At 9:30, Sophie accidentally posted a photo of us at the bar to her story, fully visible to Emma. The caption, "Spontaneous night out." An hour later, Emma texted me, "Emma, what are you doing at Murphy's?" Me, "Sophie wanted a drink." Why? She didn't reply for 10 minutes. Then, Emma, "No reason," but I knew exactly what that meant. She was calculating. A few days later, Emma brought up Sophie out of nowhere. "You two seem to be hanging out a lot lately," she said, trying to sound casual. "Yeah," I said. "She's fun, and she's family." Why? "No reason," she said, but her tone was sharp. It hit me then she wasn't just worried about getting caught. She was worried that Sophie might be more loyal to me than to her. That night, Sophie called me. "She's cracking," Sophie said. "We should set the stage for the finale. What do you have in mind?" Sophie hesitated for a second, then said, "We need a night where she's in the same room with both of us and she doesn't know we already know everything. Let her talk, let her lie, and then we hit her with the truth," I finished. "Exactly. But we make sure it's public enough that she can't spin it." As if the universe was helping us, Emma's birthday was coming up. She was already talking about doing a small thing at our place with friends and family, including Sophie. Sophie texted me later. "This is it. This is where we drop it. We just need one more solid piece of proof, something she can't wiggle out of." The next week, Sophie got it. One of her friends who happened to follow Ben sent her a screenshot of his story. It was from 2 nights ago. Emma was on his couch, leaning into him, laughing. The timestamp? Same night she told me she was helping a coworker move. Sophie forwarded it to me with one message. "Sophie, we've got her. We had the proof. We had the plan. Now, all we needed was her birthday." And she had no idea that the party she was planning was the party where her whole facade was going to collapse. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing like it owed me money. Groggy, I reached for it and saw 37 notifications. 37. The group chat with my friends had blown up overnight. Apparently, after I'd walked out of game night, Maya had posted a cute fun night with friends collage on Instagram. Sounds harmless, right? Except smack in the middle was a photo of her and Alex, her ex, leaning in toward each other, laughing, almost touching foreheads. The comments? Oh, they were a nightmare. "Y'all are adorable. Just like old times, huh? You two should get back together." I just stared at it for a long moment. My stomach wasn't even twisting in jealousy anymore. It was just cold, flat disbelief. She hadn't even thought about how that would look. Or maybe she had, and that was the problem. I didn't respond right away. I just got up, made coffee, and went to the gym, letting the sound of clanking weights drown out my thoughts. Around 2 p.m., Maya finally texted, "Hey, can we talk? I feel like last night got weird." Weird? That was her word for it? I typed back, "Sure, your place or mine?" She suggested her place. When I got there, she was wearing one of those oversized sweaters that looked like she'd been curled up all morning. She gave me a soft smile and motioned for me to sit. "Mason," she started, "I feel like you were tense last night." I almost laughed. "Tense, right. You were with your ex." "Maya," I said, "and you posted a picture that literally looks like you're 2 seconds away from making out." Her eyes widened. "Oh my God, that's not what it was. We were just talking about an inside joke from years ago." I cut her off. "You don't think context matters? You don't think how it looks matters?" She hesitated, biting her lip. "I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. Alex is just familiar, you know? It's easy to fall into old patterns, but that doesn't mean I want him back." I watched her carefully. The thing was, I wanted to believe her. I wanted to chalk this all up to bad judgment, but something about the way she said old patterns made me feel like those patterns weren't entirely dead. Look, I said slowly, I'm not going to be the guy who tells you who you can and can't see, but I am going to be the guy who decides what I'm willing to be part of. Her eyes flickered. Hurt, maybe, or guilt. So what are you saying? I'm saying I need some space to think. She nodded, but her hands twisted in her lap. Okay, I get it. I stood, gave her a small nod, and walked out. In the hallway, I exhaled for what felt like the first time in hours. But that's when my phone buzzed again. This time, from an unknown number. It was a screenshot of Maya, leaning against Alex's car. And the timestamp? This morning. I walked into the living room the next morning, the faint smell of coffee and last night's pizza mingling in the air. The couch was still a mess of blankets from where I crashed after everything went down, and my head throbbed with the remnants of too much adrenaline and not enough sleep. She was there, my girlfriend, curled up at the far end of the sofa, knees drawn to her chest. Her hair was a tangled halo, and she was staring at the floor like it might hold an escape hatch. For a second, the sight almost pulled me back to every good memory we'd had, every late night walk, every inside joke, every lazy Sunday morning where time felt like it belonged to just us. But then the truth pushed through like a splinter you can't ignore. You stayed? I said, my voice flat. Her eyes flicked up, guilty and exhausted. I didn't want to leave things like that. Like what? You mean after you told me it was just a game night with your ex and it turned into whatever last night was? She flinched. I wasn't yelling, but I didn't have to. My voice carried the kind of quiet finality that made every word heavier. I didn't sleep with him, she said fast. I swear nothing happened. I laughed, a humorless, sharp sound. You think I care about technicalities? You think the fact you didn't cross that line makes the rest of it okay? Her lip trembled. I thought I could handle it, that I could keep it light. I wanted closure. Closure? I cut in. Closure is a text. Closure is deleting their number. Closure isn't drinks and laughing like you're still theirs and letting me walk into a room where I don't even exist in your eyes. The silence stretched between us, thick enough to choke on. She wiped at her face, but the tears kept coming. I messed up. I know I did. But can't we fix this? No, I said, and it came out so simply it startled even me. I'm not your safety net. I'm not the guy you keep on standby while you go searching for old sparks. Her breath hitched. So, that's it? I stood, grabbed my hoodie from the arm of the couch, and slipped it on. That's it. I didn't slam the door. I didn't need to. The soft click behind me was louder than any argument we could have had. Weeks passed. I thought the anger would be the hardest part to shake, but it wasn't. It was the absence. The way I'd reach for my phone to share a dumb meme or look to the passenger seat expecting her there, only to be met with emptiness. But somewhere in that absence, I found something else. Peace. I started running again, met up with old friends I'd neglected, took road trips with no destination. For the first time in a long time, my life felt like mine. One evening, I was at a small board game cafe downtown. Ironic, I know, playing with a few coworkers. The laughter was easy, the kind that doesn't have shadows lurking behind it. And that's when I realized something. Game nights aren't the problem. It's who you invite to the table. And from now on, I'd only play with people who knew the rules weren't just in the box. They were in the way